Good thing I always keep a spare boat by the river. Hop on! The ride might get a little rough.
Couldn't be.
What's that?
There's no earthly way of knowing which direction we are going. There's no knowing where we're rowing or which way the river's flowing. Is it raining? Is it snowing? Is a hurricane a-blowing? Not a speck of light ashore, so the danger must be growing. Are the fires of hell a-glowing? Is the grisly reaper mowing? Yes! The danger must be growing, so the rowers keep on rowing. And they're certainly not showing any signs that they are glowing!
Well, the tolerance police have a lot of power here in America, in case you haven't noticed, but they're even stronger in Canada. Just yesterday, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau delivered an official apology to gay and transgender Canadians for past state discrimination against them. But now teachers in Durham, Ontario had to attend an inclusiveness training course for the deep breath here.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Keep waiting. Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
LGGBDTTTIQQAAPP community, which is apparently a community, that 15-letter acronym intended to encompass all sexual minorities. It may soon be required at schools.
32-year-old Tom works as a sound and lighting technician for a local theatre. But after a long day at the office, this is where he likes to sleep.
I can actually fit in quite successfully. And to be honest with you, from there on in, uncomfortable.
It doesn't look very comfortable.
It's bizarre. It doesn't look comfortable. But then, I mean, you can shuffle around. You can make yourself a different shape and curl up differently, swap the corners, go to the opposite side. It looks bijou, but actually there's a lot more space in here than you really think.
For the past 10 years, Tom has spent every spare moment becoming a dog.
If I'm in here for a long, long, long time, if facilities needed, puppy training pads.
What's a puppy training pad?
Puppy training pads, they're there for small puppy spills, normally, but they're quite absorbent. And it just means that if I do get sort of suddenly caught out, I've got the chance to relieve and relax.
Tom spent more than £4,000 on specially made gear to transform into his alter ego, Spot.
This looks challenging.
It is very challenging to get on. Because it's custom made, custom sized, it's that much more awkward to get into. You need a fair bit of talc. Most rubber pups in the sort of community do actually need a hand to get in, they can't do it on their own.
Tom keeps his puppy gear at his friend Rachel's house.
Right, do you want to turn around and do it?
Whichever's up to you. If I go that way.
There. I think it's time you drew a new one.
I know.
It's worse than a pair of tights. Jesus.
Whee!
Happy?
Yep. Right, time for the hood. Got nose tubes, means I can breathe like a puppy. They got my nostrils, and they then come round to the actual puppy's hood's nostrils. Now they're in there. You can breathe through your nose of a puppy, which is nice. Right. Front paws. I'm a Dalmatian. They want to be on the go all the time. They're an active animal. Do theatre work, so I sort of hide in the dark, do the sound and the lights and that kind of thing. I don't want to be seen at work. I don't want to be seen in the public eye.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. An interesting trend is going on this year for Christmas. Now, most of us already know what this holiday means to the occult, even though we've been duped into believing that it's the birth of Jesus Christ, when in fact it is not. It is the winter solstice. But this trend this year, even reported by Cosmopolitan, which is, you know, one of these crap tabloids out there which pushes these trends that a lot of people fall into, is that we're seeing upside down Christmas trees. And apparently it is the thing this year around the United States of America. Now, you might ask, why is that important? Well, if you understand how the occult work, how these Satanists operate, we are all aware already of as above, so below. But remember, they do things in reverse. They do things upside down. If you've seen Stranger Things, obviously you know through that. They talk about the upside down. We know that they use symbols and revert them upside down. We know that they use the upside down cross. We know that they use the upside down pentagram for black magic. Now we're seeing the upside down tree, and you can even see in this photo posted on Cosmopolitan, which is not a coincidence, you could see the upside down tree hanging above the black and white Masonic checkered floor. The article says upside down Christmas trees are a thing this year because it's been an upside down type of year, exclamation point. Oh, absolutely. What a load of crap. If you traveled here for the past and saw one of these suckers, you'd be, okay, puts a curse word in there so I can't say it, but it says something along the lines of it's weird, and you'd be right, it is weird. But I don't know, other than messing with my brain a little and making me question everything, I'm kind of into them. Let's mix it up. Maybe in the future all trees will be upside down, and then the ones we consider right side up will be the weird ones. I can't wait, right? So this woman who's probably in some type of coven, right, is clearly saying, let's do everything backwards, let's do everything in reverse. And if you've watched my channel for a while, I've talked about how one of the main things that Aleister Crowley would make his students practice is doing things in reverse. It's occultic. It's an occultic practice to speak backwards, to walk backwards, right? They play the music backwards. The law of reversals. So you could hear them in Cosmopolitan saying, maybe in the future all trees will be upside down. And then we consider things that were once normal to be weird, right? So they're reversing everything. They're inverting everything. This is an occultic practice. And even though the tree, which is pagan, right, Nimrod's tree and all that stuff, even though we already know what that stands for, and I'm not saying if you're somebody who has a tree, you know, I'm not getting into that, about judging if you have a tree with lights on it, but you don't worship Nimrod, or you're not worshiping that or this, or listen, you live your life, you know, according to Scripture, and if you believe that that's okay, then that's between you and God, not between you and me. But the symbol in its own right of the tree is obviously goes back and has pagan origins. Now, by taking it and flipping it and inverting it upside down, you can even see that the tree looks like an inverted pyramid, right? It looks like an upside down pyramid, even with some of these photos having the star upside down. So you can even see it now being a Baphomet-like star. So this is not some coincidence that all of a sudden it's trending. It's not a coincidence that these photos that Cosmopolitan are showing you all have the Masonic checkerboard floor right below them. Okay, because all of these elites and occultists know exactly what this means. that they're going to take and invert everything that was once normal in society is going to be weird. And all these perversions and all this sickness and everything that we see going on is going to become normal. That's what this represents. We're seeing this going on around our society, that everything is being inverted, right? We're seeing Christianity, which once was considered the normal, respectful way to live, following God's law was a good thing. Now we're seeing a society where everybody has turned on God. Everyone thinks God is selfish and God is hateful, and that all Christians and stuff are bigots. And being, this or that, identifying yourself as a Christmas wreath, or identifying yourself as a piece of paper, or identifying yourself as a transgender human dragon, all these things are now normal in society.
Hermano mexicano, te pido que plantes un árbol, que cuides tu naturaleza, que cuides tu montaña, que cuides tu río, que cuides tu agua, que cuides tu alimento.
Somos hermanos todos, incas, zapotecas, canadienses, estadounidenses, este continente, el otro, todos somos hermanos. No importa si lo siembras en México, en Europa, en Asia, donde lo siembres, va a ayudar al ambiente.
Pues nada, feliz porque nos vamos a ir a la luna de miel a plantar árboles con los niños, y pues la idea es continuar con este proyecto. Estoy muy emocionado porque, como te digo, contra viento y marea se hizo el proyecto. Yo creo que los árboles son de todos, ¿no?
A 31-year-old software engineer in China was tired of feeling the pressure to get married, so he built his own robot bride. In China, men outnumber the women. For every 100 or so women in China, there are 113 men. Naturally, for me, that would be awesome, but it makes dating for men pretty difficult. And after constant pressure from his family to find a wife, Jang built a robot just to shut them up. The blushing bride bot is named Ying Ying. She's pretty, but she's no Scarlett Johansson. The robot Scarlett Johansson, I mean. And as you can imagine, this isn't the first time that people have fallen in love with robots. I mean, we know about the movies Her and Ex Machina, but I mean in real life. A woman in France who identifies as robosexual is 3D printing her own robot husband, while another inventor, Letrong, spent Christmas with his robot companion, Aiko. Well, some might find this wedding a bit weird, others are more forward-thinking. Author David Levy predicts that human-robot marriages will be legal by 2050, and a new study reveals 25% of young people would be fine with dating a robot. My boyfriend has 2 modes, off and vibrate. Too early? Currently, Ying Ying can only say a few words and recognize a few Chinese symbols, but she's already employed at her husband's startup as a spokesmodel. Great, not only taking my man, but also taking my jobs, bitch. Zhang also plans to upgrade Ying Ying to do household chores, because of course he does. So what do you think about matrimony between human and machine? Let us know in the comments below. Like and subscribe for more of What's Trending.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I have to give a disclaimer at the beginning of this because this is just as sick as it gets. Let's be realistic. And every day we see how much sicker things get, especially here on YouTube. But this is borderline between sick, bizarre. I don't even know how to describe it other than to say that this world's problems are just beginning, because if stuff like this is going on and this is being normalized, God only knows how much longer we're going to be here, but what the future for us to endure is here on Earth. So I want to give a disclaimer, I should say, to just some of the images. I mean, they're fake, but it's just nauseating. It'll just turn your stomach. And this video, I'm sure, will be taken down within 24 or 48 hours. I might have to take it down myself after 24 hours. Because I can't risk getting a strike over just showing you and telling you something that's openly allowed here on YouTube, showing you how disgusting and disturbed mentally people are in this world. Because every time I do that, it seems to be labeled as hate speech, so I have to watch what I say, but apparently, get this, there are channels after channels. This one channel has 225,000 subscribers about what they call a fetish for reborn babies. Yes, reborn babies. And you can see from these disturbing images, those aren't real children. These are dolls. These people are making dolls that are so lifelike of infant babies. It is enough to make you want to vomit for days. Because you can only wonder why they're doing this. What is the reasoning behind this? Full body silicone baby dolls with thousands and thousands of views, changing the babies, diapering these babies. Even, you want to talk about bizarre? I mean, look at this channel, In Love with Reborns, 2011. It has more subscribers than most truther channels, 223. Not more than my original channel, but my channel was terminated with 250,000, yet this is existing out there. Look at this, so real looking. That's what it says, and people are watching it, commenting, as they're making these fake babies, and then they're treating them like they're real, taking them to Target, taking them to the store, changing their diapers, feeding it, breastfeeding it. Look at this woman, taking it in the pool with her, saying it's her first pool day. This is a doll. And these people roam free. I mean, at what point, we know as Christians that the institutions and the FEMA camps and all that stuff are likely planned for us. While these people roam free, making who knows how much money it costs to make these dolls. And then treating these dolls like they're real and taking them out. Yeah, she's got a thumbnail here that says, I'm a mess. You're more than a mess, lady. More than a mess. Giving away these things. Baby Leaf, one of the images says. How to raise a baby doll. Look at them covering their faces. I mean, you can't think of something more sick. Then there's other channels that link off of it. And all the thumbnails are of these naked, realistic baby dolls. And you could see the genitalia. They even go as far to make I can't even, it took me a while to make this video because I had to make it to tell people, to show you, this is the sickness that's going on. This is the stuff that's being allowed. They're normalizing this perversion. This is a fetish. And I don't want to hear, it's a fetish of these people who want to raise a doll. It goes deeper than that, okay? I mean, besides the fact that we're saying, even if the fetish was just them raising a doll, these people are existing here on Earth, raising a doll, and how retarded our society is. But I don't believe it goes just that far. I believe it goes further than that. Look at all these thumbnails of these doll babies with their clothes off. And I think you as listeners, you know what you should do. I can't say what to do about these specific channels and how they need to be, terminated. They should be terminated by YouTube. Then you see this other woman. She's taking the doll down the slide. You can see where her hand is placed, smiling. Right? As if the doll's a real child. When does this sickness stop? Look at the amount of subs. Look at the amount of views on some of these videos. 7,000, 10,000. I mean, it doesn't, resonate necessarily with the amount of subs they have, but who is watching this stuff and why? Right? Why would anyone be watching it? Why would anyone be searching for it? Think about that. Think about when you want to watch something on YouTube, what you search for. Say you want to watch sports clips. Say you want to watch makeup tutorials. I don't know. Say you want to watch gospel. Right? You type it in the top. People are searching for reborn baby dolls? This many people? You gotta be kidding me. Welcome to 2017. And then look at some of this stuff. Just look at the comments below in some of these videos. You know, people, he's adorable. I just bought the blue sweater outfit for my new Tory. That should be home soon. Congratulations on your new baby boy, somebody says. Someone says, congratulations on your new baby boy. I mean, what's going on here? You want to say, huh? I mean, huh doesn't describe it. Sick. Absolutely sick. I'm petrified to be a human being right now.
Hey everybody, this is Mike with On Point Preparedness. In several of my past videos, I've shown you that the greatest threat to Christianity is the false Christ and Gospels that Paul spoke about to the Corinthians. While many like to use Joel Osteen, Rick Warren, and Carl Lentz as examples, there is yet another hiding in the bushes, and the symbolism is some of the craziest that I've seen. Second Baptist Church is a mega church spread over several locations within Houston, Texas. A subscriber contacted me asking to investigate the church as his spirit felt uneasy over several things he'd seen there. I had not recognized it immediately, but I did lightly cover this church during Christmas of 2016, as they hosted this absurd event called Christmas Under the Big Top. It was filled with clowns, acrobats, and amusement, but no real indication of anything related to Jesus Christ. With a church putting on this kind of major production, you know the shepherds of this church are leading the flock astray. Little did I know how deep-rooted in the occult this church was. Before I start to show you some of this stuff, I have to mention that there are more than likely a lot of good people that go here, and also some good Bible studies that probably occur in small groups. However, the people running this joint are allowing the Antichrist spirit to dwell there. And we all know that we are in the end times, and it's no doubt in my mind that when things get really bad, the leaders of this church will lead the congregation into false doctrines. So let's begin. First, you can see here the Second Baptist Church front sign says Hidden Wisdom. That is essentially the theme of this entire church, as the word occult literally means hidden. I want you to check out these photos of their main campus, because it immediately gives me the creeps. I'm going to come back to these photos to discuss some really in-depth symbolism, but I mean, this should just really creep you out and set off some alarm bells. It looks like something out of the Illuminati movie Eyes Wide Shut or something. There are multiple services at this church, but their central time that they provide big press about is the 11:11 service. The number 11, and especially the time 11:11, is deep-rooted in the occult and the New Age. Here's what they display on their monitors at 11:11 right when the Mass starts. It's the word 11 followed by the same word, only inverted and spelled backwards. I've covered this before as the apparent as above, so below inversion of Baphomet and the Antichrist. The central ideology of this concept is to twist and invert God's creation. The sad thing is that many churches are following this ideology. You can see this advertisement from the Christian World Explosion Tour, where they invert the images of churches to the Father's Prayer. You can also see this in the big Pope Francis sponsored 2016 Reset movement on the Washington Mall, where they inverted the hashtag Jesus Changes Everything. But let's look at 11 and 11:11 a little more closely. The number 11 is a big number in Kabbalism and Satanism. You'll find various meanings across the internet, but central themes around this number are symmetry or blending of male and female, sun and moon energy, or otherwise just indicating balance. It's also a big representation of power. In Daniel 7 verses 7 through 8, when talking about the horns that appear on the end times beast of Revelation, it states there are 10 horns. However, a little horn sprouts up amongst them and plucks 3 horns out by its roots. Therefore, this 11th horn is very powerful. The most well-known occultist Aleister Crowley had stated in the Book of the Law, "My number is 11, as all their numbers who are of us." So Crowley is specifically stating that he is the powerful master number 11. But as the Antichrist is legion or hive mind in nature, he is also the number of all others who are of their cause. If you also look at mass chaos incidents that gave the elite power, the number 11 has also been used. For example, 9/11. We see this representation of power in occult movies as well, using 11. You're probably already thinking about the character 11 from Stranger Things. This girl represents pretty much everything I just spoke of. She seems androgynous, or has the characteristics of male and female. She is the character with the greatest power, the power to actually bring worlds together or rip space and time dimension. And what a great segue that is to what 1111 means. A while back I did this video on the collision of worlds and how the number 8 or Ouroboros represented time, and that 88 represents a crashing of two worlds together or the coming together of two times. 1111 essentially represents the same thing, although much more prominently and less hidden. You will find New Agers all over the place stating that 1111 represents a spiritual awakening, that at this point in time, some type of synchronicity happens where you have a gateway to the other world. They state if you keep on seeing 1111, there is something calling for you in the other realm. Other New Agers, like this individual named George Barnard, said that 1111 is the calling card for beings that are half angels and half humans, otherwise what we know as the Nephilim. However, although not in scripture, he states that 1,111 angels were faithful to Lucifer to enlighten humanity and fell with him. Regardless of the slight differences in interpretation, its core meaning remains unchanged, a synchronistic time that the occult used to communicate with the spirit world, another means of opportunity for blending dimensions. And so here we have this church really glorifying the number 11 and the 1111 time, numbers that represent demonic power and chaos and the opening of dimensions. Just really crazy stuff. So now let's go back to these original photos I showed before. From the inside you can see that the altar and ceiling is in the shape of an octagon. I'll get to that in just a second. But first, here's the inside of some ancient Catholic baptisteries, specifically one in Florence. You'll notice the 8-sided architecture. If we look at the outside of the Second Baptist Church, you'll find that the octagon is covered by a dome. Likewise, baptisteries are covered with a dome. So we can clearly see that this architecture is based off of ancient Catholic designs. All the roads lead to Rome, right? So now that we know where this architecture comes from, we can better understand how the Vatican used this architecture for satanic purposes. Per the book Mark A. Reynolds, The Octagon in Leonardo's Drawings, he states, in the number symbolism of medieval Europe, 8 was seen as representing cosmic balance and eternal life. Related to this, the octagon had a deep significance for the Roman Catholic Church. The octagon and the star octagram were religious symbols for rebirth and resurrection. It was used in baptismal fonts in many churches, large and small, throughout the entire country. So this trail leads us to believe that the Roman Catholic Church created these octagon structures as a symbol of rebirth or resurrection, and it's tied to the 8-sided octagram star. If you research the octagram star, you'll find that it is a symbol of Ishtar, or our modern-day Easter holiday. However, Ishtar was not the celebration of Jesus' birth. It was the rebirth of one of Nimrod's sons named Tammuz. If you didn't already know, Nimrod was the grandson of Noah in the Bible, and essentially became the first person to lead a worldwide rebellion against God. So, the origin of octagonal altars relate to a false, non-Christian rebirth. What else does this structure provide us? Well, let's look back at the dome. In the book, A History of Octagon Homes and Octagonal Structures by Topsider Homes, it states, over the years the octagon has been used in constructing churches and temples for its many spiritual representations. When used as a dome, it symbolizes joining the physical to the spiritual. Essentially what that says is the square, rectangular, or octagonal bases of the church represented the earth, or everything we know about our dimension. The dome, which is feminine in nature, represents the spiritual dimension. Therefore, the base altar and the dome, connected by the walls, signify man's attempt at recreating the joining of the physical to the spiritual. Now, for those of you new to this symbolism, this may seem a little bit out there, but if you research dome structures and phallic symbols, much like the Washington Monument in the Capitol, or the obelisk at the Vatican paired with the dome of St. Peter's Basilica, you start to get an understanding that this is all real. Additionally, the references I provide are all architectural books, and they're not conspiracy websites. The other linkage of the octagon with the occult is the tesseract, or a four-dimensional analog of the cube. If you research the cube of Saturn, which is also Satanism, you'll find that occultists have a great deep affinity to cubes. Looking at the 4D representation of a cube within a cube, you get an octagonal shape. Freemasons represent this as a hewn cube within a rough cube. It's the Antichrist builder ideology that man's hewn stone is better than rough stones of nature. Here again, the Second Baptist Church has music and other presentations associated with the cube and a cube symbolism, much like we see with other technology companies like Nintendo or some other banks. Lastly, if you look at this church's teachings and past events, you'll see that these symbols manifest into true physical Antichrist actions. For one, the church has had past incidents like this one, where a sexual allegation lawsuit was made that made claims that Second Baptist youth pastor Chad Foster targeted victims under the guise of spiritual leadership. Second, and more importantly, this church and lead pastor Dr. Ed Young Sr. have joined the fleet of teaching that counter-Reformation spirituality is to be encouraged for Protestants. Just like Joel Osteen and Rick Warren, he is wanting to unify his church with the Roman Catholic Church under this new one-world religion, or is essentially embracing that theology. So friends, the warning signs are all around this church. Particularly, I'm astounded that with 64,000 members, it is the largest Baptist church in the United States, and it is the 5th largest church across all denominations. Yet no one knows or is talking about online the apostasy that is occurring here. They glorify hidden wisdom with Mass at 11:11, the occult time of unifying physical and material realms. Their architecture with the octagonal altar with dome ceiling is yet another representation of the unifying of physical and material realms. They eagerly want to unify with Pope Francis and his one-world religion. If you are attending this church or have friends and family that are attending this church, I would strongly recommend that you consider leaving.
What is wrong with all you people? Have you all gone mad?
Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything, to stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God, and pray in the Spirit on all occasions, with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert, and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people.